Now, most of the nation and the footballing world probably knows this by now. Jordaan is the new South African Football Association president. He was chosen ahead of Mandla Mazibuko in Saturday's elections. We are delighted to have the man himself in the studio with us. Danny, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate your time.
Thank you and good morning.
How has your first week gone so far? I mean, it's not 1 week yet since you've been elected, but how is it going so far?
Well, it's been hectic. It's been very busy. But as we said before, we don't have to spend time on researching what the challenges are. We know what the challenges are. It's time to get on with the work.
Now, I know and I understand that you are a very impatient man. Now, that could be a strength or could be a weakness. How do you plan to use that energy to resolve this problem of South African football?
Well, I think all of us should be impatient. We've waited for a long time. We don't have world-class teams that can compete internationally. The time for explanations are over. I think we must get down and do the work. And that is simple. We must have structured junior competitions. We don't have a provincial structure in football, and as I can talk to you about rugby, you will tell me about the Sharks as a provincial structure, or the Stormers. When I ask you about football, you won't even know where they had provincial headquarters of football, because it doesn't exist. So we have to put these things in place.
Okay. What is going to be different under your leadership? Because the issue of youth development in soccer has come up now and again. We keep on hearing it. You mention it now. We've got schools. We've got a schools association. I think Mandla Mazibuko is still president of the South African Schools Football Association. And you say we don't have provincial football structures. What are you going to actually do practically to get it going?
Well, at the youth level, of course, the schools must play an important role. It's part of the minister's national sports plan to get the schools to deliver quality competition on a consistent basis. And so we'll work together to ensure that more schools are producing. The second thing is it's about infrastructure in the schools. And it's about the fact that for rugby, you have all of the Model C schools with all of the infrastructure producing 80% of the Springboks from a school's level. At football, those schools hardly has a presence in football. So we have to engage to understand why football is not being played across the board in all the schools. And I'm sure that the minister will assist in this process.
Yeah, the sports minister, Fikile Mbalula, has said that SAFA needs a new vision. What is your vision for SAFA? Well,
clearly, we've already started talking. We need 9 provincial academies or centers of excellence. We started with KZN, launched it a day ago in KZN. We have to go through 9 provinces. We have to get the schools to participate on a regular basis. We need junior competitions. As I've said before, we, at our best effort, will probably produce 10,000 junior matches over a weekend. Germany produces 80,000 junior matches per weekend. And if you look at those nations that participate on a regular basis in the World Cups, and whether it's junior or the senior World Cup, and Spain has won it, they have 3 times more junior matches over a weekend than South Africa.
Yeah. One of my colleagues who's a sports and is a football lover, Jeff Muloy, we were talking about this new broom that's coming in, that's yourself, to lead SAFA into the future. And we're thinking, why don't we have an under-19 league? We've currently got the PSL, for instance. We've got the First Division League. But we could also structure leagues below, because some countries do have those leagues that could feed into the senior levels. Is it something you're going to consider?
Well, it's something that we've already launched. Talk about SoccerX in Durban. We are going to have an under-19 international tournament, which should trigger the under-19 competition. So we'll have under-13, 15, 17, 19, because those will be the feeders to bring us into our under-20 national team and an Olympic team. And if we have those in place, then I think we can talk about a strong Bafana Bafana.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to talk more to you about that particular point of Bafana's performance. We are gutted that we're not in Brazil, but we'll find out more when we come. We're going to take a short break now. We're talking to Danny Jordaan. When we come back, we'll continue chatting to the new SAFA president. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Morning News today on eNCA. Now, let's continue our talk with SAFA President Danny Jordaan. Just on Bafana, as we're taking the break, we're talking about Bafana. We hosted the World Cup in 2010, and then now we are not even in Brazil. We were not in Germany in 2006. What is wrong with our national football team?
Well, I think we're asking, why is my son failing at university? But you should ask the question earlier. Our under-17 team failed to qualify for the World Cup. Our under-20 team failed to qualify for the World Cup. Our Olympic team failed to qualify for London 2012. Why are we asking only the question at the level of Bafana? So if your son fails in primary school, fails in high school, why are you surprised if he fails in the university? So we have to make sure that we have competitive, winning junior teams, and then we can hope for our senior national team. Otherwise, we'll just have hope. And that is what has been driving us. We hope Bafana must qualify. I think while that hope must not be ended, we must also be realistic and build junior national teams that can compete.
Okay, surely the PSL has a role to play here. Are you going to engage with the PSL and the clubs to say, get your junior structures just ready, because they should have junior teams that are also competitive, just like we've got other private clubs, those that are not in the leagues?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we will, of course, meet with the PSL, we'll meet with the minister, because if you look at Messi in Barcelona, he started in the junior ranks of Barcelona and progressed then into the senior Barcelona team. We should encourage each one of the PSL clubs to have under 13, 15 and have competition on a regular basis so that there's a national path into the senior professional team.
Will the difficulty there be finding sponsors to support youth leagues?
Well, it's not only the responsibility of the PSL. SAFA should come on board and see how we can find the resources to make that a reality for all PSL clubs.
My impression is that there's always been tension between SAFA and PSL, especially when it comes to selection time for Bafana. For instance, there's always the competing things, and that no, SAFA wants this, PSL wants this. Yeah. Are you planning to improve the relations between yourselves and PSL?
We'll work hard to do that, but we must recognize the fundamental problem. What is the fundamental problem? The fundamental problem is the international match calendar. And when they determine the dates of the international calendar, if you ask PSL, were you consulted in determining these dates? No. SAFA, were you consulted? No. It is something that is determined by the European clubs. They look at the interests of the Champions League, and based on that, they fix the date when the international matches must be fitted in. Now, that does not necessarily fit in with the PSL or any other professional club on the African continent. And so we said, we must engage at that level. Don't think it's a fight between the PSL and SAFA. It's a fight for both of us, that the whole of Africa cannot be ignored when you determine these dates. Let's fight that fight together and take your interests into account and take our national interests also into account.
Okay, finally, just from a structural perspective and in admin side, how big is your structure? Are you planning to streamline anything at all to make sure that you become more efficient as a body?
Yes, I think what we have an executive of 36, all of them sitting at national level. 18 of those representatives are provincial reps, so they must go into the province and run the province. You see, if you're a provincial member of parliament, you don't sit in Cape Town. You sit in that province where you represent the interests. So we have to realign our structure.
Okay, sorry, before you go, I just got one more last question. Yeah. Salaries for Bafana. Many people, they say Bafana should just pay for pride. Wear that jersey with pride. It's not about the money. What do you say?
Well, this is an issue that drives the Brazil national team, it drives the English national team, it drives the Spanish national team. Pride is important. And I think we must restore in each player that it is important. They carry the hopes and the aspiration of all of the people of this country. And I said the other day, there are two things very important for every South African, and that is they want a job and they want Bafana to win. So they must know that they carry the hope of the people.
Thank you very much. That's newly elected SAFA President, Jordaan.
News that moves. eNCA.com.